Poppy Lynn moved quietly through the hotel lobby, her worn shoes making soft taps against the polished marble floor. The grand space buzzed with the hum of arriving guests, their voices mingling with the soft strains of piano music drifting from the corner. Her chestnut hair was pulled back into a simple bun, and though her uniform was neat, it bore the marks of a long, hard-working day. She smiled gently as she approached each guest, carrying luggage with care despite the ache in her shoulders. Tonight, like many others, Poppy felt the weight of the hours pressing upon her, but she held herself with quiet determination. The hotel was one of the city's finest, its gleaming chandeliers and elegant decor designed to impress, yet for Poppy, it was simply her place of work, a stepping stone towards dreams she kept close to her heart. Amid the steady stream of visitors, a tall man strode in with an air of impatience that seemed to dim the warmth of the room. His tailored suit was impeccable, his piercing eyes scanning the lobby with a sharpness that spoke of entitlement. This was Mr. Grant, a frequent guest whose reputation for brusqueness had already spread among the staff. As Poppy approached to assist him with his luggage, a sudden sharpness in his voice cut through the calm. "Hey, slow down," he snapped, shaking his head as Poppy paused for a moment to locate his bag. The word hung in the air, slow, carrying a sting that silenced the nearby chatter. Poppy's smile faltered briefly, but she said nothing. From across the lobby, the hotel manager's eyes flickered toward the scene, a flicker of concern crossing his face. The tension tightened, poised to unravel as Poppy prepared to respond. Mr. Grant's sharp voice echoed through the lobby, drawing attention from guests and staff alike. He tapped his polished leather shoe impatiently and frowned, the corners of his mouth tightening as Poppy hesitated for barely a heartbeat longer before bending to retrieve his oversized suitcase from the luggage cart. "Is this some kind of joke?" he demanded loudly, drawing a few curious glances from nearby travelers. "I've seen 4-year-olds move faster." Poppy's fingers brushed the handle of the suitcase, steadying herself in the face of his rude words. She swallowed her immediate sting and gave him the smallest, most courteous nod. "I'm sorry for the wait, sir," she said softly. "We're assisting other guests as well. I'll have your luggage right there in a moment." But Mr. Grant's scowl only deepened, and he folded his arms as if staking a claim over the lobby's entire space. "The manager, please." Now, he insisted loudly enough for the nearby bellman and receptionists to hear. Poppy felt the warmth creeping into her cheeks, not from embarrassment but from the sudden officer gaze sinking deep into her confidence. She glanced toward the hotel manager, Mr. Thompson, who had stepped out from a corner office with eyebrows drawn low. His tailored suit was crisply starched, his demeanor calm yet unmistakably aware of the brewing conflict. "Is there a problem here?" Mr. Thompson asked, voice smooth but firm. "This woman," Mr. Grant began, gesturing at Poppy with impatience, "is astonishingly slow. I've waited nearly 5 minutes for my luggage. This level of service is unacceptable in a hotel of this caliber." Poppy's heart tightened at the public rebuke. She knew Mr. Grant well enough by reputation, not a man to tolerate inconvenience or delay. But she also understood that losing composure would only confirm the negative assumptions he seemed eager to make. "Sir, please understand," Poppy began, her voice steady though gentle. "We're assisting many guests tonight, and I'm doing my best to expedite your luggage's arrival. I assure you, your bag is next." "You assure me?" Mr. Grant echoed, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "How hard is it to do your job? I expect efficiency, and this is anything but." He scoffed, shaking his head. "Frankly, I think you're just not cut out for this." A flicker of sympathy arose among the guests gathered near the reception desk as a few exchanged uncomfortable glances. A nearby family visibly tensed, shifting slightly as they averted their gaze, while a couple seated by the lobby fireplace whispered quietly to each other. "You don't have to stand here and take this," whispered one of the bellmen to Poppy, offering a tentative smile. Poppy gave a polite shake of her head. "Thank you," she whispered back, "but I'll manage." Mr. Thompson, ever the diplomat, cleared his throat. "Mr. Grant, please understand that our staff prioritize each guest's needs. We're confident Miss Lynn is doing her best." The guest waved a dismissive hand. "Confident? I'm not. I want someone else, or I'm leaving a review that does this hotel no favors." "Please," Poppy said softly, stepping forward just enough to grasp a steady footing. "I understand your frustration, sir, but I assure you I am trained and capable. Your luggage will be with you imminently." But Mr. Grant crossed his arms defiantly, his jaw clenched. "No. I want better service. This isn't just about me, this is about the reputation of your entire establishment. Slow service like this drives guests away." The manager sighed, caught between indignation and professional obligation. "Mr. Grant, please. Our policy is not to remove staff based on single interactions. If there is a recurring issue, I assure you we will investigate." "Policy or not," Mr. Grant snapped, glowering, "I will not wait. Escort her away and have someone competent assist me now." The manager hesitated, glancing at Poppy with a complex look that mingled sympathy and reluctant constraint. Poppy felt a quiver of anxiety creep in but masked it behind calm eyes. The lobby had fallen quieter now, the piano music paused, the murmurs between guests stilled. Everyone seemed to be watching, the air thick with anticipation. "You don't have to make a scene," a guest near the doorway whispered to another, shaking his head. Poppy kept her gaze steady but inwardly felt the sting of humiliation. The cruel slur of "slow" echoed, not just as a comment on her work speed but as a broader indictment of her worth. This was more than a moment of frustration, it was a judgment for all to hear. Her hands trembled slightly but she raised them briefly in a calming gesture. "Mr. Grant, please. I am here to help, and I only ask for a moment of patience." But the man was unmoved. "Patience is a virtue I don't have for service this poor." The hotel staff around her exchanged uneasy glances. A junior bellman, hesitant, whispered, "Should we step in?" "No," Poppy said quietly, "this is between me, him, and the manager." Time seemed to stretch. Poppy's thoughts raced, how to handle this without compromise to her dignity, without losing her job, or giving this man more power than he deserved. Finally, Mr. Thompson nodded reluctantly. "Very well, if you insist, Mr. Grant, but I ask you consider our standards before making hasty decisions." The guest narrowed his eyes, then turned his back to the small gathering, muttering, "Unbelievable." As Mr. Grant stalked toward the elevator bank, the tension in the room began to ease slightly, but the damage lingered. Poppy lowered her gaze, steadying her breath. She felt the weight of curious and judgmental eyes, each look mingling with pity or annoyance. A fellow bellman approached gently. "Poppy, are you all right?" She smiled, fragile but sincere. "I will be. Thank you." Later, away from the gaze of guests, Poppy slipped behind the front desk and rested her forehead against the cool surface. The hurt flared anew in that moment, the sting of being underestimated, of judged unfairly. She pulled her phone from her pocket and dialed her closest friend, Marie, hoping for a steady voice. Marie's cheerful tone sparked warmth immediately, and Poppy found herself recounting the incident in halting words. "I don't know why people feel the need to put others down," she concluded, "especially when they don't even know what it takes." Marie's voice was firm yet kind. "You handled it with grace, Poppy. That says more about who you are than his words ever could." As the call ended, the hotel manager came by and touched Poppy's shoulder lightly. "I'm sorry you had to endure that." "I appreciate it, sir. I'm used to handling difficult situations." Mr. Thompson gave a faint, respectful nod. "If you need support, you have it. We value your work here." Poppy returned to her station, her chin held higher now, resolving not to let one man's ignorance define her. Yet, as she prepared to assist new guests, Mr. Grant's lingering glare felt like a shadow dogging her steps. The lobby buzzed again with arrivals, but somewhere beneath the surface, tension pulled at the seams. The coming moments promised challenge, but also, perhaps, a chance for Poppy to show what was truly possible when patience met resilience. And all eyes watched, waiting to see what she would do next. The next rush of guests ebbed into the lobby, filling the space with a lively murmur of greetings and luggage wheels rolling over polished stone. Poppy took a deep breath and resumed her duties, her movements smooth and unhesitating despite the lingering unease of the earlier confrontation. Yet the guests who had witnessed Mr. Grant's outburst continued to glance her way, some with doubtful eyes, others with a flicker of quiet support. Then, just as Poppy bent to assist an elderly couple with a heavy suitcase, a voice rang out from near the reception desk, a voice that crackled with confidence and unexpected warmth. "Excuse me," said a tall, impeccably dressed woman, stepping forward from among the watching crowd. Her name was Mrs. Eleanor Davis, a regular of the hotel and a figure well known to the staff. She carried herself with an air of quiet command, her eyes sharp but kind as they settled on Mr. Grant. "I couldn't help but overhear your comments," Mrs. Davis said crisply, "and I must say, they seem more about your impatience than any real fault with Miss Lynn's service." The guests nearby shifted, surprised by the challenge. Mr. Grant froze mid-step, his scowl deepening as he turned reluctantly toward Mrs. Davis. The eloquence in her tone silenced the murmurs. Poppy looked at Mrs. Davis with a hint of gratitude, feeling a spark of reassurance swell inside her. "I've stayed here many times," Mrs. Davis continued firmly, "and I've seen how efficiently Miss Lynn manages the busy lobby. It's not easy to juggle so many guests, yet she does so with impeccable professionalism and grace." The shift in the atmosphere was palpable. Faces in the lobby relaxed, and murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Poppy, encouraged, found her voice. "Thank you, Mrs. Davis. I do appreciate your kind words." Gathering courage, she took a moment to explain more fully, addressing the audience now assembled. "Working as a bellwoman here is demanding," Poppy said, her tone steady yet sincere. "Each day brings dozens of travelers with different needs. Balancing their requests while ensuring everyone feels attended to takes care and focus. I've trained continuously and learned how to anticipate what's needed before it's asked for." Mr. Grant scowled but said nothing, caught off guard by her measured and articulate response. Just then, a sudden commotion near the hotel entrance drew everyone's attention. A trolley laden with delicate luggage had tipped, and bags threatened to fall onto the marble steps. A young mother with a toddler struggled to steady the load. Without hesitation, Poppy sprang into action. Her tiredness vanishing, she moved quickly, steadying the trolley, calming the mother, and carefully reloading each piece with practiced ease. Her fingers worked deftly to secure stray tags, while her voice maintained calm encouragement. A hush fell over the lobby as all eyes followed her poised movements. Even Mr. Grant's lips pressed into a thin line, betray a flicker of surprise. As the trolley was finally corrected and the mother thanked her with a bright smile, a wave of admiration unfolded among the guests and staff alike. "Remarkable," Mrs. Davis whispered to those near her. "Such competence under pressure." Mr. Thompson, who had quietly observed the entire scene from his office doorway, nodded in approval. Several guests approached Poppy afterward, praising her quick thinking and composure. A bellman, usually reserved, gave her an enthusiastic thumbs up. Mr. Grant, flushed slightly, retreated toward the elevator with a muttered curse under his breath, clearly unpleasant at having been bested in the eyes of onlookers. The hotel manager stepped forward, clearing his throat to address the crowd that now buzzed with renewed energy and softened judgment. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "we have watched an example of dedication and professionalism here tonight. I want to apologize on behalf of our establishment for any inconvenience experienced and to commend Miss Lynn for her impeccable service." The room seemed to exhale collectively, the tension relieved. Poppy offered a modest smile but felt a growing sense of pride swelling within her chest. This moment was more than just about defending herself, it was a quiet vindication of her hard work and character. "Thank you, sir," she said softly. "I'm proud to be part of this team." As the evening resumed its rhythm, guests returned to their conversations and arrivals, many casting approving glances toward her. No longer did Poppy feel the sting of those earlier words whispered through the lobby. Instead, she carried a new lightness, a recognition that sometimes, dignity and skill could speak louder than harsh criticism. Sitting later in the staff break room, Poppy's phone buzzed gently. It was a message from Marie, simple but heartfelt. "Saw what happened, so proud of you." Poppy's lips curved thoughtfully. This episode, difficult as it had been, revealed something essential, not only to the observers but also to herself. The strength to rise above judgment, to reveal one's true worth quietly and without rancor. Outside, the city lights glittered against the dusk, hinting at the promise of tomorrow. Her story was far from over. As the soft hum of the hotel lobby resumed its usual rhythm, Poppy Lynn found a quiet corner near the staff lounge, where the bustle was dampened and she could steal a moment for herself. The glow of the ornate chandeliers overhead felt less imposing here, and the faint aroma of polished wood and fresh flowers wrapped around her like a cozy shawl. She pulled off her cap, loosening the neat bun that had held her chestnut hair throughout the long shift, allowing strands to fall loosely around her face. Her forehead, still glistening faintly with perspiration from the evening's events, bore subtle traces of tiredness and resolve. A quiet sigh escaped her lips as she glanced down at her hands, the hands that had been scolded for being slow only hours earlier, yet had steadied a wobbling trolley, lifted heavy bags, and calmed anxious guests with gentle words. In this privacy, away from the gaze of guests and colleagues, Poppy allowed herself a deeper reflection on who she really was, beneath the uniform and beneath the quiet resilience she revealed at work. Born and raised in a modest neighborhood on the city's outskirts, Poppy's journey to the Grand Hotel was neither swift nor easy. From a young age, she learned the value of hard work. Her mother had juggled multiple jobs to support the family, and her father's quiet strength was the foundation of their home. Poppy, with her natural empathy and determination, had always sought a path that would help her elevate not just herself but those around her. Her decision to become a bellwoman was both practical and purposeful. It allowed her to support herself financially while pursuing a scholarship in hospitality management, a demanding program that challenged her intellect and broadened her understanding of the industry she loved. The scholarship was competitive, awarded for academic merit and her commitment to serving the community. Each day after her shifts, Poppy devoted hours to studying, often by the dim light of a desk lamp in her small apartment. Simultaneously, she volunteered at a local youth center, coaching teenagers in job readiness skills and mentorship. Her hope was to inspire the next generation to chase their ambitions despite obstacles. To her, hospitality was not just about delivering service, it was about creating moments of kindness, dignity, and respect every day for each person who walked through those grand doors. Tonight's events, difficult as they had been, revealed a deep truth to Poppy. The sparse uniform and simple bun might make her appear plain to some, but they masked a fierce intelligence, compassion, and an unyielding spirit. Beneath the surface, she was a woman who wielded knowledge like armor and kindness like a bridge. She reached into her bag and withdrew a small journal, worn at the edges but filled with notes on leadership, customer relations, and reflections drawn from her coursework and daily experiences. She traced the inked words lightly, feeling a sense of calm and purpose settle over her. Poppy's mind wandered to the incident in the lobby, how Mr. Grant's sharp words had pierced her confidence for a moment, but how the support from Mrs. Davis and the guests reminded her that fairness often prevails when voices unite. Her thoughts jarred briefly as she recalled a quiet conversation she'd had earlier with Mr. Thompson, the hotel manager. He'd expressed a concealed admiration for her poise and skill, hinting at opportunities beyond her current role. Those possibilities lingered, like an enticing promise just within reach. A gentle knock at the staff lounge door drew her back to the present. Marie, her closest friend from the youth center, stepped inside with a bright smile, carrying 2 steaming mugs of tea. You look like you've been through a storm and came out shining, Marie said, settling beside her. I saw everything. You handled that man with such grace, no easy feat. Poppy chuckled softly, warming her hands around the mug. I wasn't sure if I'd hold it together in the moment honestly. But having Mrs. Davis speak up, it changed everything. Marie nodded thoughtfully. Sometimes, people just need to see the truth through others' eyes. You probably didn't even know how many were rooting for you. The two friends shared a quiet laugh, the weight of the evening lifting in the warmth of companionship. I'll keep working hard, Poppy said after a pause, eyes bright with quiet determination. Someday, I want to be a manager myself, someone who leads with empathy and fairness. No guest should feel entitled to demean another, and no employee should be made to feel less for doing their best. Marie raised her cup. To that future. And to you, Poppy Lynn, the strongest woman I know. They clinked their mugs softly, a small but meaningful celebration. The Grand Hotel, with its glittering chandeliers and polished marble, could seem intimidating, a place of exclusivity and high standards. Yet beneath its gleaming surface sat stories like Poppy's, stories of perseverance, dreams, and quiet heroism where dignity and kindness mattered most. As Poppy stood to return to the front desk, a renewed sense of purpose shimmered in her eyes. She smoothed her uniform carefully, picked up her cap, and tightened her bun once more. She walked toward the lobby, the soft shuffle of her shoes purposeful now. The room welcomed her back, guests arriving and departing as the night deepened, a rhythm as eternal as the city itself. Behind the polished smile and steady hands, Poppy Lynn carried her past and her dreams silently but fiercely, ready to face whatever came next with the same calm strength the world had begun to see. In the reflective glow of the hotel's grand chandeliers, she was no longer just a bellwoman. She was a woman determined to shape her own story, a story that had only just begun. In the quiet hours following the evening rush, the hotel's grand lobby had settled back into its smooth rhythm. Guests moved freely, receptionists exchanged polite greetings, and the soft melodies resumed from the piano nestled near the lounge. Amid the familiar hum, an unmistakable shift had taken place, one that rippled through the staff and radiated subtly among the returning guests. Mr. Thompson, the hotel manager, had spent some time behind closed doors reviewing the earlier incident involving Mr. Grant's unreasonable behavior. The reports from staff and the eyewitness accounts painted a clear picture. The rude guest had been disrespectful, demanding, and unjustified in his public belittling of Poppy Lynn. Now, with a measured breath, Mr. Thompson approached the front desk where Poppy was arranging luggage tags and greeting new arrivals with her characteristic poise. Miss Lynn, he began, his voice composed but warm, I wanted to personally apologize for the handling of the situation today. It was not right that you should be subjected to such treatment. Poppy looked up, a soft smile touching her lips. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. He cleared his throat, choosing his words carefully. Effective immediately, Mr. Grant is no longer welcome at the hotel. His conduct violates our commitment to respect and professionalism. I have asked our security personnel to escort him off the premises whenever he returns. Poppy's eyes widened briefly, a mix of relief and quiet satisfaction washing over her. It wasn't just an apology, it was a clear acknowledgement of her dignity and value. Furthermore, Mr. Thompson continued, I want to offer you a promotion to assistant supervisor of the Bell staff. Your leadership today, as well as your consistent dedication, has shown that you're more than ready to take on this responsibility. The tears that rose unbidden were not just from surprise but from years of perseverance, hope, and quiet sacrifice finally blooming into recognition. I would be honored, Poppy said, her voice steady despite the emotion beneath. I won't let you down. Word traveled swiftly among the hotel staff. Colleagues approached with smiles and congratulations, their respect for Poppy evident. The junior bellman who had earlier given her a thumbs up now shook her hand firmly. The young receptionist sent a warm message of encouragement from behind the counter. Even guests who had overheard the ordeal made a point to offer kind words. Some confessed that what they saw challenged their own preconceptions about service roles and about judging others too quickly. Meanwhile, the hotel's public relations team handled the aftermath of Mr. Grant's unceremonious departure with discretion. The man, known in certain circles for his temper, found himself locked out from the city's premier hotel, an unexpected consequence that sparked whispered conversations among elite patrons. Mr. Grant's response was terse emails complaining of unfair dismissal, but the hotel's policy and the clear evidence of his misconduct left no room for appeal. The management's firm stance only enhanced the hotel's reputation for upholding a respectful environment. For Poppy, the consequences were more personal and immediate. With her new position came new challenges but also newfound respect and a growing circle of influence. She worked to mentor younger staff, sharing not only practical skills but also the lessons she gleaned from patience and perseverance. One day, as she guided a nervous trainee through the intricacies of guest service, she realized how far she had come, not only in title but in confidence. Her life beyond the hotel flourished as well. Poppy continued her studies, her mentorship efforts at the youth center, and even started organizing workshops on workplace respect and dignity, inspired by her own experience. Her story became a quiet inspiration, a reminder of what could happen when resolve met kindness. Reflecting on the early moments at the hotel after Mr. Grant's insult, Poppy understood that the true victory had not been in silencing a discourteous guest, but in standing tall and allowing her character to shine through. Her story spread quietly, shared among friends and strangers alike, inspiring others to act with grace when faced with unfairness and to believe in their own worth. And now, as she closed the hotel doors one evening and glanced back at the gleaming lobby bathed in soft light, Poppy felt a deep contentment. Her journey was far from finished, but this chapter, marked by unexpected trials, quiet courage, and ultimately, vindication, was one she would carry proudly. What would you have done in Poppy's shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe. See you in our next story.